Welcome back to the Multifamily Mind Podcast. In this episode, you'll listen to a fun conversation between Allie Cade, Sales Support Team Leader for MRI Software, and myself, where Allie shares her unconventional onboarding experience in multifamily, gives suggestions for greater sales success for leasing teams, and talks about the crossover between operator and vendor sides of multifamily. Thank you, Allie, for joining us. Let's get to it.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. I'm excited to have you, and I know our listeners are going to get a lot out of our conversation today. You've got a great experience in the business, so let's just do a little bit of history. Tell us a little bit about how you got started in multifamily, and then we'll take it from there.
The way most people get started, completely by accident. I had been working at a Borders bookstore as a training manager, and I quit, unexpectedly, just kind of walked out, but I had a part-time job at Smoky Bones. I'm so old and have been in the business so long that there was still newspaper advertisements.
Oh my.
And so on break, I know I'm really dating myself here. So on break at Smoky Bones, I was looking in the newspaper trying to find a job that was a little bit more steady and paid better. And I found one, and it was for a leasing agent at a little apartment community that I drove by every day on my way to Smoky Bones. And I thought, well, that sounds interesting. And my friend at the time was a leasing agent in Florida at an apartment community, and she loved it. And she said, oh my gosh, Allie, I think you would love it. It's so much fun. And so I was on my way home from my shift in my Smoky Bones uniform, apron and all.
Smelling like sausages.
Smelling like barbecue, pulled pork nachos. And I stopped in and I said, hey, I saw you have an ad in the paper for a leasing agent and I wanted to apply. And this manager was just totally flustered. You could tell she was having one of those property manager days that we all have had in this business. And she said, well, why are you just now applying? The ad's been up for weeks. And I said, well, I just saw it today. She said, well, I need somebody to start tomorrow because I go on vacation tomorrow and I have a manager's conference I have to go to and I have all these things going on. When can you start? And I said, I can start tomorrow. And she said, well, here's the application. Fill it out. And I thought, what is going on? She doesn't even know me. And I filled out the application and I started the next day. I think she was with me just that one day. And then she was gone. She was out of there. She went to her manager's conference. She went on her cruise, handed me the keys and a map and said, this is Mike, the maintenance guy.
And you had no idea what leasing an apartment entailed.
I did not know, Steve, I didn't know fair housing from anything. I didn't know anything.
We use a phrase in my house that you didn't know your butt from your elbow.
That's pretty much where I was. She said, water the flowers every day. I'll be mad when I get back if they're dead.
Oh, brother.
And then I found out she had won, she was a master gardener and she had won awards for the community appearance. And I have a brown thumb. So that was a lot of pressure on a 20-something-year-old at the time.
In addition to all the other things that you needed to do to manage a property
I walked in on occupied apartments trying to show them as a vacant unit. I put in work orders for the wrong apartments. I didn't know anything from anything, but it was fun and it was exciting. And, here I am 22 and a half years later.
Yep.
I've tried to leave the business a couple times and everything else is so boring. Yeah. And it's just enough weird that it keeps me coming back. Oh, yeah. It keeps me happy. So, that's how I got started.
It's interesting because my onboarding was really similar. I started and she said, here's the keys. The model's 212. I'm going to go to lunch and then I'm getting my nails done. So at least she was coming back to the property.
Yeah.
But, I think this is a good opportunity for our listeners to, really think about that onboarding experience for a new team member. And we are so well prepared for a resident when they come to move in. We make sure their paperwork is done. We walk the unit. We make sure everything is in its place and as it should be. use this as an opportunity to reset your onboarding strategy and make sure that when somebody who especially is new to the business, I mean, even if you know how to lease, every company does things differently. So make sure there's an intentional plan for bringing that person on board, because I'll tell you, I've heard some statistics from Swift Bunny where like 51% of the current workforce, people who are sitting in your leasing offices right now, are looking for jobs. 51% of them. And there are some stats that they'll share where people will, they don't even show up for day one after they've accepted a job. They don't even show up, or they're in the job and they don't even make it to 90 days. I don't know what the stats are. You can get those from Swift Bunny, but I just think it speaks. I mean, you and I are from a different era, of course, where we were taught, you make do the best you can and you just get in there and you do it.
I think that's what was so surprising, because I was coming from a job where I was a training manager. And so onboarding was so important to me. And here I was just given a map and a set of keys and basically told, like, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And then I went on to like move up in my career and become a mentor with Camden in Louisville, Kentucky. And I made sure that my employees didn't feel that way when I onboarded them, and a totally different experience for everybody there. And, when I became a property manager, my first few days with my leasing agents, they're always chaotic in property management. Everything's chaotic all the time,
always.
but it wasn't that way. I didn't just leave them, like a set of keys and say, here you go, figure it out. But I will say, from that manager, I did learn so much from her. She was my mentor till the end. I mean, until she passed away. And
oh gosh,
she taught me a lot. She taught me a lot about professionalism and how to treat your residents and how to take pride in your property and pride in the appearance of your property. And I just caught her on a really bad day when I walked in there.
That's a day where you most likely would get mystery shopped, right?
Oh yeah. That shopping report, that J. Turner research report would show up in my inbox the next day, I guarantee.
So when you were leasing and you were in that role, did you kind of have a process that you followed? What was your routine like? And I
kind of had to figure it out myself. She had done things. Now, when I started with her, she had been in the business about 25 years. So she had done things really old school, and she had her way down, and her and I were very different. We had very different personalities. So I had to figure out my groove. And I think the way I approached things was through building trust with the prospect.
Yep.
So it was very much a get to know them and ask questions.
Okay.
And by that, I don't mean ask, what size apartment are you looking for?
Okay.
That's not the questions.
Those five basic questions, right?
Those 5 questions. What size apartment are you looking for? Do you have pets? Of course, you're going to ask those. You're going to get to those. But it's finding out why they're moving. What are they looking for in their next apartment home? What's important to them? Because if you don't find those questions out, you're not doing your job as a leasing agent, and you're not doing your job selling to them. And I don't even want to use the term selling, even though that is what you're doing. It's a sales job when it comes down to it at the end of the day. But you're helping them find their next home. And I think that's what's important. At the end of your toughest day, you have to remind yourself, I am providing a home to someone.
Yeah.
I am helping them find the biggest bill that comes out of their checking account every month.
Yeah.
They are paying me to ensure that they have a safe place to lay their head every night.
Right.
And I think that's what gets lost in the messaging sometimes as a leasing agent or as a leasing consultant, whatever the title you slap on it these days. Yeah. That's the most important thing.
I love the word consultant, though.
I like consultant.
Yeah, because it really defines what you're doing in that job. I mean, they're coming to you.
You are a consultant. You are helping them. So I think those questions are more important than the what's your price range, than the how many bedrooms do you want? What kind of amenities do you want? It's asking the more broad questions. Why are you needing to move? You may find out that person's going through a bad divorce and they don't want to move. And this is a really hard process for them. And you need to be there to kind of just listen and talk them through it. And I think listening is the most important part of our jobs as leasing consultants and on-site agents. That really is the most important part, because if you're not listening to what they're telling you, you are selling them something they don't want.
Right. Well, you're selling them and nobody wants to be sold, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You're exactly right. You're just selling them. You're not providing them a service. You're providing them a disservice at the end of the day.
100%. And I think if you ask questions in the right way, you're going to find the answers to those 5 basic questions without even having to ask them most of the time.
Yeah.
You know?
You may find out, if you ask them how many bedrooms do you need, they may say 2. They may not need 2. I mean, when I started my apartment search recently, I wanted 2. I didn't really need 2. I just thought it'd be nice to have 2.
Yeah. Well, I mean, then comes the question, what are you going to be using that second bedroom for? Is it going to be a guest room?
Yeah.
Is it going to be an office? And, you just continue to marinate. I use the term marinate when I did leasing training, marinate on what people say, listen to what they say, take it in, let it soak in, because it's so easy for us to have the pat answer ready to go, because we hear the same things from people all day long, and it can be very rote and robotic unless we're careful, right? You really have to choose to show up in that consultative mindset, right?
Right. And when you ask those questions about what's important to you and what are you looking for, that guides your tour experience with them,
sure it does.
Right?
Yep.
So you're not going to show someone the dog park that doesn't have pets and is allergic to dogs.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just that you've got to listen to what they're asking for.
100%. That's why you can't, I know we teach fair housing and we say, we have to take everybody on the same tour. And, honestly, the only way you violate fair housing is when you use what you learn about somebody to deny them housing or approve them for housing. The rest of it is all about connecting with the customer. Yeah,
it is. It's about personalizing it.
Yeah.
And it really, like I said, Steve, it all goes back to listening.
Yeah. Well, you know what my mom said? You got 2 of these and 1 of these for a reason.
I know. Unfortunately, this one that I have is really big and really loud. So sometimes I get a little carried away.
You're in good company.
That's why I'm here, right? Talk.
I'm sure 100%. I have no doubt that was probably one of the things that contributed to your success in this business, my dear. So, I know we're back in the past in your career, but we'll bring it forward here shortly. But I kind of want to know, when you had won the business and say someone said yes to the address and they decided to move in.
I love that. Yes to the address.
Yeah, I do too. What happens then? Once you've made the sale.
Oh, I'm really glad this is on the roster of questions, Steve, because I think this is where a lot of leasing consultants lose. So they get the sale, they close the sale, they get the commission check, and they move on.
Yeah.
And that's not how you do it. If the last contact you have with that resident is when they pick up the keys and they bring back their move-in inspection with their list of little tiny work orders, because they're all going to have them. And then the next time you talk to them is when you send them their renewal notice, you've lost that renewal.
Even if you do, it's probably the assistant manager that's going to be the one who talks to them about their renewal, right?
You've lost that renewal.
Yeah.
So I would teach my leasing consultants and anybody that I talk to, you need to set reminders on your calendar, or I'm still a paper planner girl. But I like the Outlook. I'm into the Outlook. I'm slowly getting into the AI stuff like that. I'm getting there. I'm hip. I'm cool. Right?
Well, you do work for a technology company, so I hope so. A little
I know.
bit.
I do work for a software company. I guess I better get on top of my game. So, you need to make a plan, and whatever that cadence is, you need to stick to it. You need to stick to it with all of your move-ins. So you need to do a 2-week check-in. Make sure there's nothing you need. Make sure there's nothing that was missed. Just say, hey, just wanted to check in, see how it's going. Whether that's an email, a phone call. I do think phone calls are underrated. Pick up the phone and call people. Like, why are we afraid of phones these days?
Right. Mm-hmm.
A text can be ignored. A phone call, they may not answer. Leave them a short voicemail and just let them know you're thinking of them. And moves are very stressful. So give them a couple weeks to settle in. Check in a month down the road. Check in 3 months down the road. Check in 6 months down the road. Just little check-ins. There are ways. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the dollar store. You don't have to have a big budget to do these things. Mm-hmm. Get $50 worth of candy. Just keep it in your desk. Make a little bag of candy. Hang it on their door. Thinking about you. Wanted to see how things are going. Let me know if you need anything. A little handwritten note. Hang it on their door at 6 months. Then at 90 days out, when you're contacting them about their renewal and their probable increase, because we all know how that goes. They're not going to say, well, I didn't hear from them till they wanted an increase out of me. No, you've checked on them year round at this point. You've checked in on them 5 or 6 times, and get your maintenance team involved. Have your maintenance team drop off something. I know that's a lot to ask because let's face it, our maintenance folks are busier than ever. I mean, they are because residents are more demanding than ever, as they should be. They are paying more for rent than ever. I don't blame them. Come up with something cute that maintenance can drop off and have them get involved. Have them drop off a little note to their door. They're out on the property anyway. If you know they're going to building 9 to do a work order, have them drop off something to all the doors at building 9. Sorry, my headphones are crackling. Sounds like little popcorn. So, I mean, get them involved too. We want to create that sense of community by doing little things like that. So I think after the move-in, those are where the important touches are. And if you say, I don't have the budget to do that, my corporate office won't let me do resident events, you can do it with your petty cash and figure it out. Like, there are ways to do it so cheaply. I worked at small properties with no budgets and we figured it out. I had a projector and I hung a sheet on the side of our leasing office, and we had a movie night on the lawn. I had microwave popcorn for everyone. We figured it out, we made it work. Yeah.
But I bet you managers listening who are feeling that budget constraint, there are,
it's hard.
Vendor partners are out there. They'll help with some things. And
let me tell you, I mean, I've worked for 3 different suppliers. We love to help. We can't always help to the extent that we would like to, but we can almost always come up with something we can do. Yep. I know there was one property that they wanted us to really sponsor a big event, and I couldn't do it. And I said, I don't have it in the budget, but what I can do is I can be the beverage sponsor. And I went to Rural King and I bought a horse trough. Yep. And I filled it up with ice, and I bought a bunch of sodas and water, and I showed up and I got beverages for everyone. And I mean, that's what I could do. That's what fit in my budget at the time. And, a lot of companies out there have swag they can bring, for your events, or even they can just show up
to help,
be a friendly
helping
face.
Hand. Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, they'll do what they can.
And where I live, they partner with some of the businesses in the neighborhood. There's a couple of restaurants that are within walking distance. And,
yeah, the restaurants will usually be able to donate coupons, if not gift cards, put together a little giveaway gift basket. Yep. One of my favorite things to do was when McDonald's had their $1 breakfast menu. we would do drive-by breakfasts, but I would spend like $20 on the McDonald's breakfast burritos, and I would have 20 breakfast burritos to hand to people as they drove out of the community in the morning.
Yep.
I think they're like, $4.99 now or something crazy. Like they're definitely not $1 anymore.
There's an egg surcharge now.
Yeah, but I would call the night before, and they knew I'd be coming in and ordering 20 of them. You can do stuff on small budgets. You just have to get really creative.
Yeah.
And there's still ways to do it.
Yeah, so some great takeaways already. Just, those Outlook reminders at 2 weeks, at 30 days, at 60 days, those are and if you don't put it on your calendar, peeps, if you're listening, if it's not on Outlook's calendar, it ain't gonna happen.
It doesn't exist.
Make sure to plan for those things to happen. And I guarantee you'll see, we really strategize and we spend a lot of money on the front end trying to acquire new customers. And that's so much more expensive than trying to retain the customers that we currently have living in our communities.
Oh, yeah.
So anything we can do to up the ante on touch points and communication and personalized service is only going to benefit us. And I'm telling you what, nothing impacts the bottom line faster or larger than keeping people happy so that they say yes to another term with you.
The last thing your corporate office wants to see is those turnovers.
Hi, folks. I wanted to take a quick 30-second break so that I could say, I hope you're enjoying today's episode, which couldn't be brought to you without being superpowered by Sales Mail. I mean, really, we couldn't produce this content without them. Sales Mail is the easiest and best tool for sending personalized video via email, text, and CRM. So, if you really are enjoying today's episode, it would mean a lot to me if you would visit salesmail.com so you can check out how our solutions might impact your business communications. And don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn as well. Okay, that's enough. Now back to the conversation. So we've had kind of the conversations around, what happened when they said yes to the address and how to really, extend the relationship way beyond the sale, which I think is great takeaways for our listeners. But what about when somebody says no? What if you're, touring somebody and they are like, no.
So you should definitely take that very personally, and just never let it go.
Still keeps you awake at night, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I hate the word no. I don't know why I ever got into sales. No,
well,
so
we talked about how weird we were when we started. That's probably got something to do with it.
Right. So what I tell my team now that I work with, and what I have had to tell myself, and I still tell myself all the time, is a no is just a not yet or a not now.
Yeah.
So when someone tells you no, that just means either it's not right for them, and you can't take that personally. Not your community isn't going to be the right fit for everyone.
Right.
Or it just means not yet. Maybe they really did like your community and they can't afford it. That's the reality sometimes.
Yeah.
So they make a different decision, and it probably has nothing to do with you. If you're a great leasing consultant, you didn't do anything.
Right.
You didn't lose the sale. Somebody else won the sale. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
You've got to have a plan, though. And that plan is you follow up with that person. So that means 3 months down the road, you send them a little email or a little note, or you pick up the phone and call them. Hey, it's Allie from Ashley Point. I just wanted to see how your new apartment's working out. Is everything going okay? Just wanted to check in on you. I wanted to thank you for visiting. I enjoyed getting to know you. Give me a call if you need anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that. They're not going to answer the phone, first of all. So there's no fear there. You don't have anything to lose. You already lost the sale, right? So you don't have anything to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the worst they're going to do is hang up on you. Who cares? Give them a call.
Try. You'll never know unless you try.
Yeah. So, maybe 6 months down the road, you send them a note again, you send them a little email and just say, hey, you're halfway through your lease. Just wanted to let you know we're still here. We've still got apartments.
Yep. Maybe something's changed at the community. Maybe there's been improvements done or renovations, or you've got a new amenity.
Maybe you've got some new amenities. Maybe there's been a break-in at the community they moved into. Maybe maybe something happened. Let me go back to the 3-month check-in. That's also a good time to ask where they went if you didn't know already.
Yeah.
So if you didn't already find out where they moved into, that's a good time to ask, can I ask where you chose if you didn't find out already in the beginning?
Yeah.
So let's add that because you want to know where you're losing to people too, right? You want to know where they chose and why. So 6 months, you're checking in. 9 months, what's getting ready to happen?
Their renewals coming.
They're about to get that increase letter, right? So if their community they're at isn't taking care of them, here you are in their inbox and you've been checking in on them all year.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to say, why didn't we move there again? That leasing consultant, Allie, she really was a nice girl. And they had that gym that we really liked, and they do take pets, and they've got that walking trail. Let's give her a call. Let's see if they've got any move-in specials. And you've already sent them an email. Give me a call. We're running some move-in specials. So you're at the forefront of their mind. They don't have to start their apartment search from scratch.
Now, do you do the same thing with your team so let's kind of fast forward now.
Yeah.
You've been in many different roles, but currently, what do you do and who do you do it with?
So currently, I don't know what I do. No, I'm just kidding. I am a team lead on a sales support / sales trainee kind of bench team. So my team is really interesting. We hire people who are looking to get into sales or maybe transition into software sales industry. Sometimes people that are in MRI but are looking to transition into a sales role within MRI. But then we also do a lot of sales support tasks. So I help kind of co-manage that team. I train them on a lot of back-end processes, but then on a lot of sales techniques as well.
Okay.
So that's what I'm currently doing. But I was previously in sales with MRI software. So I've done a couple different roles as since I've been there for the past just 3 years, a couple weeks ago. So
congratulations.
Thank you. Cool. It's been a fun 3 years. It's been a wild ride.
I bet it has. Do you see some crossover and some similarity into things that worked while you were leasing that helped you win the sale on the supplier partner side of the thing?
I do. I've employed this technique now for 20 years. So when you lose a sale, like I said, it's not a no, it's a not yet. So I think staying in touch with those people that you had that contact with, you may not hear from them. Yeah. They may not reply, but it's not hurting you to reach out and just say, hey, how's that new software working out for you? What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? And if they answer you, that only benefits you.
Sure.
Because you know what you're selling against and you know maybe where you can improve on either your sales techniques or your software, what your software is lacking. Like maybe there's a feature that your competitor has that you don't, and you need to either know how to sell against it, or you need to go to the developers and say, hey, we need to look at adding this because we're losing people because of this, because we don't have it. So, and then also, 6 months down the road, they may say, hey, we actually are not happy. We'd like to come back. Let's talk. Okay. So this is just something that I've always done. I don't think it's ever a good idea to make an enemy of a former client or
it's a small world.
Leave or if someone leaves you for your competitor, you want them to leave on good terms. You want them to leave with a good feeling in their brain about you, so that if that door ever opens again for them to come back, they feel comfortable coming back.
Sure, yeah. And it happens all the time. It happens.
It does.
Yeah. On both sides of the table, it happens for suppliers. It also happens for, I remember leasing in Atlanta, and I was even in a different role with a different company, and the banquet manager at a hotel I was setting up for a meeting we talked and yada, yada. And then he came back about 10 minutes later. He said, you showed me an apartment 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they remember. I mean, they definitely remember. So to your point, you don't ever want to burn a bridge unless you never, ever plan to cross back over it again.
Right.
It will happen. What I think is most interesting, Allie, is you've made some references to how important it is to, in the SaaS world, we call them discovery calls. You know, when you first touch base with a client or a potential client, you know, you really want to do this due diligence and you want to really find out what are their pain points, what keeps them up at night, what really irks them about their current situation. Because if you can learn those things and figure out if what you offer is a solution to those things, you are just that much further along getting the yes to the dress than you were to start with. Same thing with leasing people, you know, get beyond those 5 basic questions and really discover who your prospect is, what matters to them, why are they moving, who else is moving, and why are they important to them, and who are they? You know, really doing a better job up front with that discovery, I think really wins you a lot more on the backside. Whether they say yes for sure or not isn't a guarantee, but at least you know you've done the right thing, and they will remember how well you handled that situation.
Right, and it all comes down to building that trust with people.
Yeah, and trust is earned, and some people will trust you instantly just because of who you are, maybe how you show up, maybe the language that you use, or maybe you're very well prepared for their visit, and that, you know, contributes to trust in a relationship. But it is, you know, it is earned over time, so it doesn't always happen immediately.
Your reputation precedes you. So I've learned that on both sides of the business, on site and on the supplier side. I've gotten a lot of referrals over the years, just like people that haven't leased from me have sent their friends to lease from me.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Or people that haven't done business with me have sent other people to do business with me, because they know I'm trustworthy and they know I'm going to be honest with them. It's hurt me, but it's helped me more than it's hurt me. If I feel like something's not a right fit, I'll say it.
Yeah.
But it's always come back around in the end to benefit me.
Sure. And it will, I think, for sure. It may initially feel like a loss or a hurt.
Yeah.
But I think
like there's times where, you know, I'll be working a deal or trying to sell an apartment, and it just comes down to like, I just don't think this is the right fit for you, like at this time. And then, you know, 6 months down the road, it ends up turning into a huge deal just because you were honest with them up front 6 months prior.
Yeah. Or who knows who they know, who they could send your way, you know, I mean, so, and really that's what a consultant does. A consultant helps you see things that you won't see on your own. A consultant helps you, you know, look for the things that you're not really, when you're in a move or when you're looking at software options for your company, you know, there's so many moving parts and there's so many things to think about. And that's why that consultative approach is such a valuable resource to have. And when somebody shows up the right way, asks the right questions, really is out for your best interest, which is what that's how I've always operated. And I may not have been the best closer or had the highest sales, but I definitely have a reputation in this industry, as do you, that I'm someone people trust and look to for, you know, advice and good stuff, you know?
I mean, I really have always prided myself on acting with integrity, and I take that very seriously.
So do I. Yeah. My dad used to say a good name is better than great riches.
I don't know. Some riches sound pretty good right about now.
Well, I'd love to have a few riches at the moment. No, but I think at the end of the day, you know, what's most important, and I think that's an important thing to remember. So some great stuff in our conversation today. I almost hate to say our time is winding to a close here.
Oh, how can it be, Steve? We just were getting started.
But before I let you go, we always kind of bring this word into the atmosphere on the Multifamily Mind. The word is audacious. The audacious word. You know, audacious.
I've been thinking about this.
Yeah?
So much. go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, well, so for our listeners, just so they know, audacious can be taken one of two ways. We like the positive take, where it's somebody who's brave and fearless and really, like that audacious explorer who's going to go out there and do what needs to be done because it needs to be done. So from your perspective, I mean, you've been all over multifamily, you've had different roles, you've worked on site, you've worked for the vendor partner side. What's been your most audacious experience in multifamily that you can share with a mixed audience listening?
It's been my most audacious experience.
There may be some audacious experiences in your past that may not be NSFW.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty of those, but we won't go into those because I'd like to keep my job and my reputation. I won't. Here's what I'll say. I won't pin it down to one experience.
Okay.
I will say it's a series of experiences, and it comes down to having an audacious attitude.
Okay. And what do you
mean by that? And what I mean by that is that I am, anybody who knows me knows, I approach everything with raw and brutal honesty and with an audacious sense of humor.
Love it.
No matter how rough the day is going or how stressful things are or how piled up my workload is, like right now we're end of quarter and I can see my team's messages at the bottom of my screen just increasing as we've been chatting here.
Yeah.
I don't even want to know what my outlook looks like. That's terrifying to think about. And I go into it and I try to just keep that. It doesn't always work. I will say I am not hilarious and positive every day.
Who is?
But I think that by approaching everything with just this raw attitude, it keeps the people around you honest and positive as well.
Love it.
What I mean by that is if I'm having a bad day, I tell people, hey, I am going through it. Like I'm having a day, but like, we're going to get through it together. We're going to figure it out and it's going to be okay. Like it's going to be good. And, I wake up the next morning and the next morning is a new day to smile and just start over. And I think, some people in your audience may know me, probably most don't, I don't know. But like I went through a battle with cancer last year. And that really makes you approach things totally differently.
It sure does. Yep.
And so I think that changed my attitude of, I joke around and I say, hey, if I'm going to be here, I'm making it everybody's problem. Like you're going to know I'm here. But like, I'm going to try to make it your problem in a really fun way. I don't know if that really answers your question or not. I don't know.
I would
say I like the word audacious. I consider myself to be very audacious. I'm not afraid to speak up. Sometimes it gets me in trouble. Most of the time it doesn't.
I mean, there's something to be said.
I'm just here to try to make things better for everyone.
Yep.
I'm trying to fix problems.
I don't think there's enough people who have that spunk to be that, you said raw, unfiltered, honest feedback. I mean, that's important, whether you're working as a team on site or whether you're trying to create software solutions for multifamily companies. If people aren't honest about what they know and how they feel, and I mean, being able to be open and vulnerable and show that to people rather than walking in with a smirk on your face and closing your door and not talking to anybody all day. I mean, that doesn't set anybody up for success. I'd much rather hear.
And when you work on a team with like, sales trainees and new hires, I try to tell them like, my feedback is not to tear you down or make you feel bad. It's to make you better and to help you grow. It's going to be honest and it's going to be brutal at times, but it is to help you be better. Like you say you want to do this with your career, I'm going to help you get there. Like we're going to get there together. but you got to listen to what I say because like,
you know what
you
you're
got a
talking
long
about.
ways to go. Some of them, you know.
Well, and that to verbalize that, I think is a key too, not to assume that they know that, because I've been in situations where my supervisor has provided me with unfiltered, honest feedback that was to get me to where I wanted to go, right? But
right.
had I not had my mindset to say, why would she have done that? The only reason she would do that is because she wants me to be better. I took that upon myself.
Right.
I love that you're sharing that up front with people too. So that's cool. You're
and it took me a long time to learn that because I had some managers in my time that their intentions were not to help me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a really hard time with feedback and learning that it was to help me grow and to help make myself a better employee and a better person. So I had to learn that myself. And like I said, I do take everything very personally all the time. Like my little feels get hurt pretty easy. So I try to, make that very clear up front before I give feedback this is to help you. And this is something, I'm seeing. And, if we can take that and turn it into this, I think it will help you get where you want to be,
Love it. Love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us
today.
Thank
you,
Allie.
Steve.
It's been great
this
having
was
you
fun.
here.
Can we do this again?
I'm sure we can. And anyway, this has been the Multifamily Mind. Again, I'm Steve Wunch. This podcast is brought to you by Sales Mail, the easiest way to send personalized video via email, text, or CRM. And we're so glad that you spent your time with us today. Thanks again, Allie, for being here. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Cheers, everybody.
Thanks, Steve. Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Multifamily Mind podcast, brought to you by Sales Mail, the easiest way to send personalized video via email, text, and CRM. To learn more, go to salesmail.com. And remember, always be audacious. Until next time, I'm Steve Wunch. Have a great week.